A little while back, I made a video about Verstappen saying how he's going to completely dominate the 2024 season. And in that video, I stated 3 reasons why he would go unbeaten and completely dominate. Well, they weren't bad reasons. I give myself credit for that. And you know, I thought the whole idea of the video wasn't that bad of an idea. But, you know, some people thought a bit differently to me. The reasons why I thought Verstappen would go completely unbeaten this season is, 1, because of his point gap. At the time I made the video, he was 84 points ahead of Norris, which is around, I think it was after the Austrian Grand Prix. And of course, it was looking like a 2022 and a 2023 repeat, where he would just completely dominate, win by like 150 or 200 points, something ridiculous like that. It was like there was a trend going on, you know, just like when Schumacher won all his championships with Ferrari, almost complete domination. There was a few years where other teams and drivers did challenge him. Generally, it was all Schumacher's for the taking. And it appeared the same happened here, which of course inspired me to make that video. A pre-United States Grand Prix heading to Texas in Austin for COTA, a brilliant track I must say. Always good racing around there. The gap has shrunk by 32 points and stands at 52. And as we know, McLaren, they have the fastest car now, and Norris and McLaren are the best combination of drivers. Going to every single race weekend, they are the favourites. My second point was that Verstappen was losing points. Of course, it wasn't the fastest car. It wasn't in the fastest car anymore. It wasn't the best, no longer the best combination. The reason why no one would beat him is because different drivers were catching him at different races. Well, one group weekend, McLaren were winning. Next weekend, Mercedes were winning. Another weekend, Ferrari won. And maybe another weekend, Red Bull would win. So at the time, it looked like no one could actually consistently put a challenge on him and build enough points to catch up to him. But that's all changed now with Norris and McLaren. And I did make a third point in the video, but it was sort of basically the same as the second one, where, oh yeah, he has such a big point lead, drivers are catching up a different race. So no one could, there was no direct challenger. But of course, with McLaren having the fastest car, with Norris being the best car driver combination at the moment, there's a solid challenger now. So what will happen now? I mean, it's very close to call. Sure, a boring answer, not our answer you probably want. So 52 points, 6 Grand Prix to go with 3 sprint races in between. Which, if you win all of that, every single race, every single sprint, with every single fastest lap, you get 180 points. Which, of course, 52 points is less than a third of that. So, mathematically, it's still very, very, very much possible. And I made a few scenarios up. Just a few basic ones. There are millions and millions and millions of different scenarios that could happen, but I've picked out a few ones that are the most likely. Scenario 1, the Rosberg scenario. Norris wins absolutely everything. Grand Prix, sprint races, fastest laps. And Max Verstappen just simply follows Norris to second place every single race. And as I said already in this video, Norris is the favourite going into every race. There's not going to be much more car development this year. Maybe a few teams will bring an upgrade here and there, but generally speaking, it is as it is for the rest of the season in terms of car performances. But let's say in every race, he delivers, wins absolutely everything there is to win, gets 180 points. And of course, in this scenario, Verstappen will just follow up in second place. Probably 20, 30, 15 seconds behind, but nonetheless, finish in second. Now, let's see you into the championship. Norris currently sits on 279, and add 180 to that. That will give him 459 points at a checker flag in Abu Dhabi if he completely dominates everything. And while Verstappen sits on 331 points as of now, finishes second every single race, 129 points, which will put him on 460 points, 1 point ahead of Norris. So this is probably more the rather exciting scenario, but of course, if you know it's just going to be Norris winning and Verstappen second every race, then you know Verstappen's just gonna win it by the smallest of margins. Yes, Verstappen can just do the Rosberg strategy, just finish second every single race, and he's world champion. But I don't think he will, as it's Max Verstappen. He wants to win. He's not there to finish second. He's there to finish first. But I'd say it's a comforting thoughts for Verstappen and Red Bull fans, Verstappen fans as well, to say or to think that he can just finish second every single race, and no matter what from there, he's won it. The second scenario I picked is Norris doesn't dominate, which is probably more likely than the first one actually. Still best others around him, so obviously Verstappen, his teammate Piastri, Leclerc, the Mercedes, Carlos Sainz, basically every other car around him. More often than not, he ends up beating them. And of course, Norris and Verstappen aren't the only drivers on the grid. There are other drivers there as well, so it's the first scenario isn't so likely for him just to finish 1-2 till the end of the season. And of course, the other drivers on the grid can get in their way. Mercedes have a good weekend, they could get a 1-2. Ferrari have a good weekend, they could get a 1-2, compromise either Verstappen or Norris's challenge. But as chances go, Norris will be the favourite. And I'm thinking that Verstappen has got to worry about more what's behind him than what's in front of him. Because, of course, he can just finish second. There you go, back to the first scenario. Because in Singapore, the guys behind him were finishing a lot closer to him then, of course, than he was to Norris. Like, it was quite a spread out race in Singapore. I think the top three was spread by about 30 seconds or something like that. Well, towards the end of the race, Piastri was gaining on Verstappen. And of course, there is 2 McLarens on that grid. So he's got to worry about the other McLaren of Piastri, which is, well, he's bloody quick, as we know. So scenario 2 is probably the most likely out of the 2 we've gone through so far. So what Verstappen needs to do in this second scenario is deliver absolutely 100% of what he's got, because the car's not going to help him out. The car has obviously slumped down the field. It's still a fast car, still fast enough to be at the front. Verstappen needs to use absolutely everything he's got to win this championship. And Norris, of course, has got to do the same, because, well, he's the one behind. He's got to catch up to him. And, this is sort of reminiscent to 2009 championship, where Brawn, they start the season off completely dominant. It's quite similar. The first 6 out of the first 7 races or something like that, where Verstappen won almost everything bar 1 race. And then mid-season, they start to slump off. Other teams start to catch up. Other teams won races. And towards the end of the season, they're struggling to get a win, maybe even on the podium. So it's a bit like that 2009, but so who knows what could happen, really. History could repeat itself. Button, who of course won the 2009 championship, dominated the start of the season. Or in this case, it could be Verstappen, who just scrapes out at the end, maybe with a race or 2 to go. In this second scenario, Norris would win, as he's just faster than Verstappen at the moment. And the guys behind Verstappen are closer to Verstappen than Verstappen is to Norris at the moment. And my third and final scenario is probably not as likely, but is definitely possible. And I've called this the meltdown scenario. This one is either where Norris or Verstappen has a complete shocker. Maybe they don't score points, DNF, mechanical failure, crash, whatever. Doesn't score a point, and their competitor capitalise on that massively. If this happens to either one driver, maybe Verstappen doesn't finish or Norris doesn't finish, whoever it happens to, their competitor. So if Norris doesn't finish, he messes up, has an incident, Verstappen's won a championship. I think that's it. It'll be over. But of course, in Formula 1, you can never say never. Anything can still happen. Norris could say not finish a race, and 2 races later, Verstappen has a problem and doesn't finish a race, and it's all back uneven. Because if Verstappen just finishes second and Norris doesn't finish, say he crashes out while leading, Verstappen will just pick up that win. And Norris's best chance is that hopefully the drivers behind him will try and pass Verstappen, which of course you can't really rely on. This scenario just goes like this. If Verstappen has an issue, Norris wins. If Norris has an issue, Verstappen wins. If they both finish every single race in a relatively competitive position, or basically like top 5 or top 3, it's going down to Abu Dhabi. Now, I could go on all day about all different possibilities, different scenarios, but there's just simply millions. You could say, oh, this could happen, like Norris could not finish the next race and Verstappen will finish like not 2 races. Like, I'm not going to do that, because that's just going to take up too much time. But these 3 are the most likely. Despite the fact that I said Verstappen will dominate, go unbeaten this year, full world championship easy, I'm going to go back on that, and I'm going to say Norris will be the 2024 champion. Sure, someone might hate me for it. They might say something in the comment, go ahead. The video will perform better. But as far as I'm concerned, Verstappen will be more about what's behind him than what's ahead of him.